What up, YouTube? This is Mr. T at Mr. T Do Numbers with another math lesson for you. This time we talking about rounding decimals, right? Why would you round decimals? Round decimals will help you estimate when you're at the grocery store. If it's something that's $2.75, go ahead and say, oh, okay, round that to the nearest dollar. That's about $3, right? So rounding decimal is a good skill to have, especially in places like the grocery store, right? Or the gas station, where the gallon of gas is $1.89 per gallon. So it's about $2 per gallon, right? So that's real life examples of why you need to round decimals so you can have enough money at certain places, right? So here's a simple lesson on rounding decimals. All right. Step one, you need to put the decimal in a place value chart, right? You're going to separate it by place value. The reason why you do that is because the problem that you have is going to be, what spot do I round the decimal to? So putting it in a place value chart helps you to see, okay, what number is going to get rounded in what spot. Step two, you're going to circle the spot you're rounding to, right? You're going to hone in on that spot, all right? Then you're going to underline the spot to the right of it. The spot behind it to the right will help you determine what to do with that circled spot that you're focusing on. Step three, you're going to use the rounding rule on the underlined spot, which is behind it. It will tell the circle spot that you're focusing on what to do. All right, and right here I have my rounding rule. So I want to remind you, if the underlying number, if the spot behind it is 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4, it's telling the circled spot that you're focusing on to stay the same. All right, it's lower enough for you to stay the same. But if the underlined spot that you're looking at is 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, it's going to tell the circle spot that you're focusing on to go up by 1. Right? It's high enough for you to go ahead and go up to the next one when you're around it. All right? So, if you're looking at $1.89 gallon of gas, and you want to go ahead and round it to the nearest dollar, well, $1 is what's circled. It's what you're focusing on, the nearest dollar. But behind it, there's an 8, $1.89. So the 8 is going to tell the $1 what to do. And since the 8 falls right here on this rule of rounding, it's going to tell the dollar to go up by 1 to $2. All right, so that's just a real life example of gas station prices. All right, but let's say I have a decimal. Let's say I have 0 and 386 thousandths, and let's say I want to round this to the nearest hundredths. Round to hundredths with a TH, right? That means on the part side, on the right side of the decimal point. All right. Now I'm going to simply follow my 3 steps, and you'll get a good answer for rounding. All right. Step 1, put the decimal in the place value chart. All right. So I'm looking at my decimal. Let me see. I got 1 spot to the left at the decimal point. Then I got 3 spots to the right. All right. So I'm going to draw my place value chart. I'm going to start off with a T. Put my decimal point in the intersection of that T. And since I have 1 spot to the left, that's the ones place. And I have 3 spots to the right. The first spot is the 1/10 place, all right, or the dime spot if you're talking about money. The second spot is the hundredths place, or the penny spot if you're talking about money. And the last spot is the thousandths place. Right? Now, I'm going to place my decimal, 0 and 386 thousandths. I'm going to place it in a place value chart. The 0 is on the left of the decimal point, so that's 0. line the decimal point right up under. The 3 is in the 10th spot. The 8 is in the 100th spot. And the 6 is in the 1000th spot. All right? That's step 1. You successfully put the decimal in the place value chart. Step 2, you're going to circle the spot you are rounding to, then underline the spot to the right of it. See, I'm interested in rounding to the 100th spot. That's the spot I'm going to focus on, which means that's the spot I'm going to circle. All right, I circled the 8 in the 100th spot. Now, underline the spot to the right of it. The 6 is to the right of it, or the 6 is behind it, like people say. All right? Now, because the 6 is behind it, you're going to use the rules of rounding on the 6, and it's going to tell the 8 what to do. You're focusing on the 100th spot, but the 1000 spot behind it is going to tell it what to do. All right? So step 3 says use the rounding rule on the underlined number. So I'm going to use it on the 6. It will tell the circled number what to do. It will tell the 8 what to do. So I'm going to look for the 6 on the rounding rule, right? So my rounding rule again, the underlying numbers are right here, and it's going to tell the circled number what to do. It's very important that you realize in rounding, only 2 things can happen. The spot that you're interested in will stay the same, or the spot that you're interested in will go up by 1. All right? So if it stays the same, it's 0.38. If it goes up by 1, it's 0.39. All right? Now, the 6 is not between 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4, so it won't stay the same. The 6 is right here. All right? Since the 6 is right here, the rounding rule says the 6 will tell the circled number to go up by 1. That means the 6 will tell this 8 to go up by 1 to 9. All right? Now, everything in front going to the left stays the same. All right? And behind it, you do not put the 6 right there. You either leave it at the 100th place, because that's where you round it, or you can fill in this with a 0. All right? So some answers you'll just see 0 and 39 hundredths because you're supposed to round to the hundreds. On some answer, you'll see 0.390. You put a placeholder 0 where the 6 was. All right? Now, this is your answer. 0 and 390 thousandths or 39 hundredths. Right? Now, you're saying, Mr. T, how do I know? Right? How do I know it's correct? Right? Well, this is when it goes up by 1. I'm going to put the alternative answer. The alternative answer is if it stayed the same. If 8 would have stayed the same, it would have been an 8 right here. It would have been a 3 right there and a 0, right? And this would have been 0. This is your alternative answer. Now ask yourself, is 386 thousandths, is that close to 390 thousandths, or is it close to 380 thousandths? Well, 386 thousandths is only 4 thousandths away. That's only 4 thousandths away. Well, 380 thousandths is 6 thousandths away. So it makes sense that this is my answer because it's actually closer than the alternative answer with the 8 staying the same. All right? So we know that's wrong. And we know that if I'm rounding to the nearest hundredths, it's 0.39 or 0.390 if you fill in with the placeholder 0. All right? So that's how you know it's reasonable. All right. Again, this is Mr. T at Mr. T Do Numbers, and this is your lesson on rounding decimals. Peace.